All right, before we get to the video, just want to sit there and let you guys know that Streamlabs sort of messed up there with the audio on my end, which unfortunately just has me super low. So I tried boosting it to the best that I can. So I do apologize on that, but on future interviews that will be resolved. So just want to let you guys know ahead of time before we get into the video, and thank you again just for supporting and everything. But let's get to the video, y'all. What is up, y'all? This is gonna be a very first time for the channel of us doing an interview, and we are blessed with Mr. Malandro Lawson II. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
And if you guys do not know who this is, he is a highly regarded practitioner and teacher at Capoeira. So I am like just ecstatic of just having you on, because this is like the first time I have doing something like this for the channel. So it's always good to pick someone's brain apart, and I'm sure you're gonna pick mine apart too.
It's awesome just because, with social media, it kind of connects you, but it also just shows like how far away people can be. And in many cases, not be open to connecting more. So I really appreciate the fact that, when I had a chance to just reach out to you, that you were really responsive and just also making the time, so that we can just like connect more about, stuff that we love, which is martial arts and video games. I love your channel.
Thank you. It's something that I've loved since being a little kid, and me and my
hmm
father would just share just watching so many different martial art films growing up. So fighting games and that just became hand in hand for me.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. And I consider myself a casual gamer. Um, but I've since Nintendo, the NES, was like my first game system. So I've been keeping up with each, console and going to the arcades back when there was arcades.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so I keep up on it.
So what? So we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty. So I'm very
All right.
curious to hear your thoughts. So how do you feel just seeing so many different representation of capoeira out there, like just in fighting games in general, and the fact that
Mhm.
its popularity is still like just rising as it is?
I'm very excited about it. It's like, like seeing your best friend, succeed, or people acknowledging even something that you enjoy doing, and you see it in the movie, you see it in the video game, um, you see it in a television show, where it's get reference, or certain fight scenes, or characters do certain movements. It feels great, because it's like people acknowledge something that you enjoy doing. In this case, something that I love, doing, because I've been doing capoeira over half my life now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was doing a little bit of background reading just to see, and the fact that you actually are like the first African American that earned like just a rank of Formato, I believe.
Yes. So in the school that I'm with,
Hmm.
um, which is called Tilius Jibimba, and it comes from the Regional lineage, right? And from that lineage, I am the highest ranking at this current time, like the highest ranking American, um, in the Capoeira Regional lineage. Yeah, and I've done various styles throughout my almost 30 years of capoeira as well. I've researched and trained in various styles.
Okay. And the fact that I did see that you also like trained under the son of Mr. Bimba, from what I've
Yes.
seen.
Yes.
How was that
Yeah.
experience like?
Uh, it's a little bit of being starstruck and like a fanboy at the same time, mixed with Kung Fu Panda. When he gets beat up by the master, by the Shifu, right, and he's all pinned upside down. It's like, man, this is awesome. Um, but it's I still train with him to this day. Either me going to Brazil or I run two schools, and we bring him and his family to instruct us in our the two branches. I have a school in Atlanta and another one in Oakland, California.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I did see the other school in Atlanta, and I was looking at
Hmm.
that, and a
Yeah.
little bit with California too as well. So you
Hmm.
constantly go back and forth between those.
Yes, yes. I run the Capoeira Atlanta school,
Hmm.
and which is fairly new, like less than 3 years now. But for 22 years, I was in Oakland, California, and built up that school, and just got the opportunity to expand here in Atlanta. So that's what I chose to do, and not miss the opportunity. So yes, I do go back and forth from Oakland, California, and Atlanta.
Okay. I do have to ask this just because. So,
Hmm.
what are your thoughts just seeing how much Namco has transformed Eddie Gordo just from the humble beginnings from Taken 3, where
Yeah.
literally that's just when Capoeira took the world by storm in fighting games,
Right.
and then just seeing
Hmm.
how he is now.
Um, I am really happy with they're continuing to do more things with him. Because sometimes the character can have like amazing gameplay,
Yeah.
but then in the lore or how they treat the person, if there's like they're a joke character and they're kind of like you're not wanting them to be a joke character, that can kind of like just diminish your desire to like continue playing as certain characters.
Yeah.
Sean was one in Street Fighter 3, um, where amazing practitioner of the Shoto. He was a Shoto karate and things like that. But then they just continue to make him a joke character and like make his movements much harder to do and harder to like win. Even though if you're like on an even playing field with the other person, then that kind of sucks. But with Eddie Gordo in particular, I'm happy to see that he's getting more and more love. Recently with Tekken 8 and the DLC, and now his intros has him playing the bidding bow. Now his super move transports you to the shadow realm, and then you're inside the middle of a Holda, and with the different instruments. And his dialogue is in, Portuguese. What else? And then there's the impact effects when he has like his ashe meter. All that is like a reference to capoeira culture. But his hitbox when he's like ramped up, it actually has this like blue spear with like green and yellow lines going around it. So that's really the Brazilian flag, with the blue spear and then the different colors. So I'm able to see the references because I'm connected to the culture. So it's great to just see him back and them utilizing it. There's more stuff that I would love to see from him, but I'm happy that it's going on the path that it is with Eddie Gordo.
I find it so interesting just looking back to where he first started all the way to now, of just how much they have just kept adding more and
Hmm.
more to his character, and even just now with Taken 8, like it's amazing how much culture they decided to like just really just go all out with it and actually
Hmm.
travel to Brazil. From what I've researched behind the scenes,
Hmm.
the creator of Taken, he actually goes to a lot of these different countries to actually
Hmm.
get in tune with the culture, research, and that's how he goes about when designing a lot of these characters. So just seeing
Yeah.
that with what they did with Eddie, like that is like wonderful to me.
Yeah. Not sure if you were able to find out more information, background in me and my relation to Eddie Gordo, or more so the motion capture actor, at least the first one, for Eddie Gordo, who was my first capoeira teacher.
I went and researched it whenever I did his episode and
Hmm.
Christie's. I did like a double package with that, and
Yeah.
he's still very unhappy from what I know, just with the last name Gordo more than anything.
Oh yeah, because it means fat. So, with that term is just in their culture, in Brazilian culture, it usually is to tease somebody. But yeah, the motion capture actor for Eddie Gordo was my first capoeira mastery when I moved from Detroit to Oakland when I was 19.
The
Hmm.
fact that we did cover Eddie Gordo, what is your thoughts seeing how the way they've done even Christy Monteiro and even like Street Fighter with Elena? I've
Hmm.
always seen that it's very mixed with people's feelings of how the way Capcom covered Capoeira with Elena.
Yeah. Hmm. Um, I think they're both great. Elena has a little bit of more of a challenge because she's in a 2D kind of realm. So that kind of is a little bit restricting. With Tekken and that being a 3D fighter, it's closer to, you know, r- realism, I want to say, with in the way that a capoeirista moves in a 3D space, right? Um, but no, like I said, I'm really happy with what they've done. Um, I know that there's way more that they can do with them. Like for instance, there's so many um, other strikes besides kicks that exist in the art form. Um, so there's a lot of headbutts, there's elbows, there's knees, there's strikes with the hand, open hand, closed hand, um, and there's a whole realm, there's a whole lane that they could explore to also educate audiences that are, playing these video games, that it could really open up and increase how dynamic the character is. Like, for example, there's a lot of headbutts there, and also there's tons of capoeira takedowns. Like only recently with Eddie Gordo in Tekken 8 does he, really do a capoeira takedown, which is called Vinga Chiva. Um, I have a few videos with of me breaking down how to execute that movement with a friend of mine, Kevin Lee, who's another great martial artist. But yeah, there's scissor takedowns to the front, to the back. There's grabs, all these different types of throws. But the only throws that they gave Eddie Gordo and leading up to Tekken 8 was like, things that are more in kind of like luchador wrestling, where like I grab your head with my legs and spin around, or even the one where it almost looks like um, let me see, like
Like
not
Ken,
ballroom dance, swing dancing, like swing dancing,
okay.
where the person goes all the way around and then hooks the arm and throws that you would never see in like capoeira. But there's tons of other things that they, you know, just haven't used yet. So that's what I'm saying. Like they've been doing a great job. It's just that there's so much more in the toolkit that would even help Eddie Gordo uh, against other characters, that are able to kind of strike in a smaller period of time as he's doing more of his circular kicks that capoeira is known for. And that's kind of a challenge because a lot of times with capoeira, people are always exposed to what they see in the roda, people playing capoeira or even someone just kind of doing some solo movement,
Mhm.
but they don't really get exposed to the self-defense aspect where these are movements, joint locks and things not meant for the roda and only for self-defense, self-preservation.
And that's something like even during my time with researching, and I kind of just started thinking. I'm wondering why a lot of these fighting game companies they probably approach it that way. Due
Hmm.
to still at the same time, it's like they know it's a video game, but they have to add like I guess some type of flash or type of
Hmm.
fantasy element. But
True.
what I always would love to see more of them do is just still just keep preserving those martial arts, the where they
Yes.
don't stray too far
Hmm.
from it.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Totally. I think what it for me, it's also it's two parts, right? The the people who are the developers, right? The devs. They're developing the game, and you have coordinators. So for example, like fight coordinators in film, and then you have like the actual capoeira practitioner. Not all practitioners of capoeira train or have even been exposed to that element of self defense. The majority, like 80%, 90% of the capoeira practitioners that are out there, train for just playing capoeira in the roda. They're in tough games sometimes, but very rarely are they uh, exposed to the self defense elements that is not to be in the roda.
Okay.
So then you have people who generally just train to play capoeira, and not knowing how to kind of like really put it into like a combative martial art tournament kind of thing. Um, and then you have the devs and the coordinators who they don't know much either about it. So that's why I say like it's so much more, but you definitely have to get someone who kind of knows. Similar to Wing Chun with
Yeah.
Donnie Yen and Sammo Hung, because Sammo Hung was like the fight coordinator for I think like the first two, and you have to get someone who really knows the art form inside and out and can put it in those different elements. So, for example, let's say uh, one of the stages for Tekken was really, really like a back alley, but a really small back alley. Well,
Yeah.
Eddie Gordo doesn't have much room to like do all the spin kicks because the other person, Steve Fox or Law or someone who just has like quick strikes direct, any of the Mishimas, right? It has quick strikes that's going to be a challenge for Eddie. So for me, I'm like, hey, there's so many combinations you can do with the headbutts, the elbows, the knees, but um, I'm just waiting for, or not even waiting. I am in the process of manifesting opportunities for myself to be involved in these kind of projects
Okay.
in the near future.
Well,
So we'll see.
I know you mentioned you wanted to pick my brain apart. Is
Hmm.
there anything you would love to ask me? Because I know you mentioned of just how do I go about my process.
Yeah, I was curious about the process, and then also want to put it out there, in the universe. Like, would love to collaborate with you for any future um, things that you have on Capoeira, or even if you want to go a little bit more in depth, because a lot of the information out there is kind of like your, I want to say, surface
Surface
level.
level.
Yeah, surface level information, which is good, because it's bite sized, but also there's a lot that's kind of below the surface that can give people just a deeper understanding, and it's usually the practitioners of the art that see videos like the ones that you put out, like, yeah, man, that was great, that was great. Oh, but man, I wish they would have, go a little bit more about this thing, and not point out your video, but there are some videos that just kind of repeat incorrect stereotypes of different lineages of it, because this person who happened to write a book that didn't practice decided to describe stuff in this way, and then someone else read it and then they repeat what they read in that book, and so on and so forth. um it's like the game of telephone almost. Because, for example, I know that Street Fighter 6 is planning to release Elena, I think in spring, or sometime soon next year.
Yeah.
So I think that would be cool to kind of like already be prepared for that release, so that when everyone is talking about it, and the algorithms are leaning towards Elena and Capoeira in Street Fighter 6, you will have already have your a lot of your info and content kind of like ready to go, so you can not miss that wave. You know what I mean?
Because that's something I was already like was mentally like thinking about. Because
Hmm.
I would love to do another part to covering Capoeira, especially whenever she drops, because I'm sure just like how we've been seeing so far, they've been slowly reinventing a lot of these characters. So I'm very curious to see how they go about with her.
Right. Hmm. Yeah, because she's, I believe, from Kenya.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm curious to see kind of like what African um, things they'll have for like the background. I'm thinking of like Street Fighter Cross Tekken, where there was one stage where you're like on uh, a vehicle, and there's like a woolly mammoth that's in the background just chasing you. And I don't, and then that just makes me think, because she's from Africa, that it's like there's a part where it's the Lion King stampede, of the wildebeest
Oh
from
yeah.
So I mean, who knows? But I was like, that'd be cool if they kind of just have like random animals, like doing things in the background, more so than Blanca's stage, where it just had like you
Just
know
a snake and maybe
yeah,
like a
just
toucan, and that's it.
yeah, and then they just like, there's only like 3 frames of motion, or 3 frames of animation, only in the wind pose. But yeah, I was my questions were just curious about you know how do you decide which martial arts to focus on, and how do you go about finding your, I mean, I could guess with some stuff about how do you get your research. It was like you can Wikipedia, you can just Google and go to different websites, and you can
Yeah.
talk to certain practitioners and stuff like that. I figured that much. Or if you have like books yourself, or things like that. But I guess what helps you to get your information and then turn it into something cohesive and just high quality, because all the videos that I've watched from your channel have been like really really good, and it does justice to the art form, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
which is great.
My process and the
So,
way I go about choosing which martial arts to cover, it goes hand in hand. Okay, which series is like right now on my mind? Which ones have I not covered, or in a way that I can cover that is drastically different from what I've done? Whether this character has the same martial art from this other series compared to this
mm-hmm,
one. So I'm
mm-hmm,
always going about the where there's always more plethora of information out
mm-hmm,
there. And I always leave that letting people know I may not have fully covered what's going on with this particular martial art. So there is still always opportunities for me to even come back and revisit those
right,
martial arts. So I always
mm-hmm,
leave that door open. And with my research, it's through like just hundreds of either websites or either like old forums, message boards, and I even like at one point came across a martial arts forum, like
mm-hmm,
literally from 8 or 9 years ago, and that's where I was able to find like a lot of the older martial arts from Virtual Fighter that like
nice,
Lao, for example, like even that one, that took me a while to find just because it is such an older style and there's not too many books out there. It's one of those martial arts that's almost lost through time, and that's something that
mm-hmm,
I've learned through covering so many of these characters. Some of those martial arts are like either lost through text, or there's
yeah,
some where there's missing pieces here. Like some will either just have maybe just a small paragraph and that's it.
right,
So
mm-hmm,
I try to like break that down as
mm-hmm,
cohesive that I can with the
mm-hmm,
information. And that's usually how I go about with my research. Just a constant looking through different websites and then going back,
Right.
seeing what people thought of these other videos that covered that say martial art. And like how you mentioned, there will be some that will say, where you got your information from, it's from someone that really doesn't practice that
Hmm.
particular martial art and just wrote whatever they saw and observed and never actually dove into it.
Right. Yeah. And because regardless of even how little, some things, the information that's available to you on the older things,
Mm-hmm.
again, what you've put out so far, like even the different styles of sambo, um, was like just really interesting because I didn't know that there were, different styles. So whatever you're doing is working, and even if it's a little bit of information, just putting that out there, you never know. It may help other people. It might inspire people to do this their research and maybe even bring that information back to you.
Because that's something that what made me fall in love with fighting games in general, and also
Mm-hmm.
just due to my love of martial arts as it is, as a big
Mm-hmm.
fan. The fact that all these characters represent not only the martial art, but also sometimes the nationality of that art,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'd love to spread that information out there, and it's what also makes you just fall in love with that character even more. Just the fact of just
Mm-hmm.
seeing how much history is behind that martial art.
Right. I definitely love watching some of the, Namco and Sega, like behind the scenes, footage of, what they do to develop a character, all the things that they consider, and then the different concept art of the outfits and names and, putting together, how they're going to uh, look next to existing characters, other established characters and things like that. That's always really interesting to me. I like hearing about that. My thing with capoeira, because it's like my passion,
Mm-hmm.
is if I can help anyone who's putting out content, just uh, give them, access to the information. I'm not saying like, hey, I have to give my opinion about certain things, but it would be like, hey, you need information about Capoeira Angola. I have all these books. Here's the, people that I've trained with. Here's also video of, Capoeira Angola, various styles of Capoeira Angola, because, yeah, that's the umbrella term, but even under that, there's schools that differ in, air quotes, styles. Um, so if I can help just provide more in depth and quality information about the art form, then I know the result will be people will value it more because when you know more about something, then you tend to value it more. And then the other thing with just capoeira being one of the very few that we know of, that's kind of uh, mainstream, and I use that term, lightly, mainstream martial art that's from the African diaspora. How many martial arts, of even though all of the innovations and creations started, in the continent, but how many, can we count to like five different martial arts that are in like popular media, like that are in movies, that are in video games or TV shows? Really, it's just capoeira. So if I can really do justice to the people, like you've done your research, the people that were enslaved and had to do this in secret, if I can provide proper information and educate the masses about it, then they'll have more value about it and they'll understand more about the art form.
And that's
And that's all.
something.
That's all I want to do.
Oh no, you're good, sir. That's that's the biggest reason I started doing a lot of this content. Not just because my love for it, but just to really
Mhm.
spread that information out there and just show how much love and craft there is in these
Yeah.
martial arts too, especially to so many people around the world. And
Hmm.
just like you mentioned with the fact that it's still so crazy that capoeira is the only martial art representation that we see back from the
Hmm.
continent itself. And I even brought up like in a past video that I would love to see a fighting game end up taking up like either Dambe or
Hmm.
other African martial arts as well, because it's so rare that we even see that in media.
Yeah. There's like Senegalese like wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, bunch of different art forms that, kind of exist. Even in the United States, like, 52 blocks, like that would be awesome as well. But again, we're doing the work and we're spreading, the information and manifesting it.
Yeah.
So yeah, got to start somewhere.
There's always going to be a beginning for the foundation first.
Hmm. Yeah, because even the timeline that you went through, like, I had not seen capoeira from my memory. Excuse me, I had not seen capoeira in a video game until Eddie Gordo. Even though I knew of it from the movie Only the Strong, right? So, but as far as video games, it was Eddie Gordo. So I wasn't playing Fatal Fury because I was more of a Street Fighter fanboy.
It's understandable. That's how it
You
was for
know.
me too. It was either Street Fighter or Taken during those early times for me.
Hmm. Yeah. As far as fighting games, yeah, Street Fighter 2 was my first fighting game, and then Mortal Kombat came not too long after that. So, and I played all the I played all the Tekken fighting games. Even Virtual Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like being able to control a capoeira practitioner or a capoeirista. First one was Eddie Gordo with Tekken 3.
Yeah, that was probably my very first exposure to
Hmm.
just capoeira in general. And I remember it was like, you remember back in the day with how PlayStation used to like send in the mail like the demo disc and stuff like
Mm.
that. That was
Yeah.
probably my first exposure to just seeing Eddie Gordo in general.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I remember having the buying Tekken 3 and having like the poster, and then taking it to the capoeira workshop because Messi Marcelo was in Detroit doing a workshop. So I like remember having him sign my Tekken 3 poster. Good times.
You still have that poster?
Yes, not in pristine condition, but I still have it. Still have it.
That's pretty cool, man. But I definitely would love to do a part two because I know there's still plenty of other
Hmm.
capoeira practitioners that I have not fully covered in
Hmm.
fighting games, and that was already
Yeah.
I was looking at like, okay, let me just see how it does, and if people would want more, I'll definitely do a part two because I know
Yeah.
I left a bunch on the table, but just seeing the
Hmm.
response is what made me genuinely happy. Just knowing, okay, yeah, I'll definitely be doing a part two, and I would love to have you a part of that as well.
Thank you. It would be my honor. It would be my honor because again, can just provide more, especially like video content. Because I know you use clips and things like that of capoeira for self defense, the different lineages or schools of capoeira.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there was one where you started to talk about capoeira Hazel now, and this is like I understand that the information is kind of limited,
Yeah.
but the people who were doing capoeira at the time that you were talking about capoeira Hazel now, it wasn't that definition. Those people weren't doing capoeira Hazel now. And the way you can tell, because the schools, it's less about the actual movements themselves and more about moving to specific rhythms and the orchestra setup. So with regional, it has one berimbau and two panderos, and then that's it. So and then but again, I'm contributing to your work, so that's a huge honor for me, and I can definitely help you with the pronunciations as well.
Yeah.
And that's one huge advantage you will have over everybody else that is doing their content on capoeira or capoeira in fighting games and things like that.
Yeah, because that's something I have to always just give a disclaimer because I really just suck at pronunciations.
Yeah, rightfully so. You put the disclaimer out there, and I mean, hey, it's hard for me to pronounce some of the Portuguese words myself, and I speak Portuguese. I've lived in Brazil before, so even sometimes I get tongue twisted or have to slow it down a little bit for my pronunciation of things. But also, I can have.
Oh,
Sorry.
Sorry. You go ahead.
Oh, I was saying beyond just the pronunciation, I can tell you like what the names mean, also, and like their relevance. So for example, there's a front push kick, right? That we call benção. So benção means blessing, right? And one of the tricks in capoeira, because Malise is to outwit the other person. It's like, oh, come over here because that you can receive a benção. Want to give you a blessing, from your from your higher up, from your teacher. It's like, oh, okay, cool, and then boom, right in the chest. You've been blessed. Now go for it. But yeah, just to I feel like I have an opportunity to also kind of be the bridge and help the Americans understand the cultural similarities, but also the cultural meanings behind why things are the way they are. Because I was curious about it, So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I will definitely, because that was already like in the works slowly behind the scenes, but I will be having not only a part 2, but I would love to have you a part of Elena's video as well.
Awesome.
Especially with just breaking down of how the way they go about her movements, everything.
Yeah, for sure. Because the other thing with the capoeira community is that it's big and small at the same time. It's small, right? Meaning like information passes to very quickly. Oh. So if and we have like WhatsApp groups and things like that. So if one person has like, hey, you guys should see this video, then it'll end up in Brazil, go to Shanghai, to London, over to Canada, over to Israel, to Russia, like all these different Australia, like all these different places that have capoeira. The practitioners we want to see and we want to share and we want to support things that kind of like lift up the art form. Even if it's terrible quality and it's so bad that it's funny, that it's good, we'll share that stuff. But especially like the really good stuff, like we tend to share that a lot. Like people will put the links and stuff on their social media platforms, IG and Facebook and all that, and on Twitter, X, and formerly known as Twitter, and all that stuff. They'll put it in the Discord. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I just got one.
Yeah, you'll have people even drop it within Discord as well. And I've been getting messages that I discovered your video. Someone like just shared it like through Discord and stuff like that. Even that amazed me in itself. That
nice.
Something I was not expecting.
Because I definitely shared your video with my between the two schools, my students in Atlanta and also in Oakland. And they were really they really liked it and are looking for more.
Because immediately everyone's like first instinct from what I've been getting messages from, the fact that you put that specific song as the music backdrop, like just to introduce capoeira, was like everyone tells me that that was basically Chef's Kiss, perfect.
Yeah. See, there are certain things that were like, yes, that this guy knows what he's doing. Just on the soundtrack, just on the score
Mm.
selection. Like, okay, this guy's good. He's in there. We're good. Let's follow him. Let's give this video a like. Let's pass it around.
Oh, but I would love for you like just share your socials and everything out there to everyone,
Oh, for
especially
sure.
the audience.
hmm Yeah. So on Instagram, it's Mr. Malandro, all one word. And then from there, you'll see my links in the bio. Capoeira Bay Area, all one word. Capoeira ATL, one word as well. I'm also teaching at Georgia Tech. So there's Capoeira GT, and then I don't know if you have the camera on or whatever, but I also have Capoeira, which is my Capoeira brand. It's clothing line, so it's comfortable, athletic wear that people can just, you go to the grocery store and happen to walk by, go by pass by the park, and you see some people training capoeira, and you're already good to go, and you can just hop in and train capoeira as well. So
Okay.
capoeira as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also gonna put everything in the description and even in the comments too, as well of your social and also the capoeira as well. So
hmm
thank you.
The shirt that really sells a lot is the shirt that says, "This is my capoeira shirt."
Really.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was just it's just hilarious to me because there's other words in Portuguese and other styles of shirt and things like that. But the one that sold is like, oh, I need me a capoeira shirt. Hey, I want to buy this. That's it. This is my capoeira shirt. Uh, but yeah, man, I appreciate Mr. Blackmore. Appreciate your again, just to be honest, like just your openness and just be willing to connect with me, this random person, who just happened to like really really like your video.
Oh, but I always leave that door open for like just anyone out there that would just love like interviews or even like pick my brain apart. Just like you asked too as well. Like that's something I'm always open to, and that's something I want to end up doing even like more down the line. Just hearing even more people's not only their stories, their thoughts of a lot of the martial arts that is being represented that they are students of as well.
hmm Right, right. Yeah, man, that's awesome.
But
You'll be the go-to
yeah,
guy.
thank you again just for blessing us with this interview, and I truly
But
appreciate you taking the time out your day.
yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you. Looking forward to connecting with you in the future.
Oh, we'll be having that open line. Don't worry.
Awesome.
As soon as I hear anything too as well with Elena, which I'm sure we will like pretty soon
Mhm.
after they release my and everything, they'll probably immediately like start teasing Elena at that point.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. So we shall be ready.
but you not only enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will be staying in touch with you, sir.
Awesome. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
God bless you, man.
Same. Bless you too. Peace.
And if you enjoyed this interview, please just like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you can stay updated of any new videos coming to the channel. And you will be seeing me doing more projects with Mr. Malandro too in the future when it comes to Capoeira, and also a part two like we ended up discussing in there. So I have quite a bit of things in the works, but if you want to see other interview styles with other practitioners, stuntmen, just all the likes out there, please let me know in the comments below. There is a few out there that already come to mind of who I want to end up trying to reach and get in contact with. But if you have any out there that you would love for me to talk to, please let me know, because this will be also something that I would love to end up doing quite a bit more in the future. But just want to let you guys know, thank you so much for the wonderful support out there that you all have been doing. This is probably one of the most lengthiest videos that I have on the channel, but I wanted to do the best I can to give you guys that aspect. So thank you. Thank you so much. But you guys enjoy yourselves out there. Enjoy the holidays too. I'll catch you in the next video, y'all. Stay blessed. Later.